Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining on a Friday afternoon and lunchtime. And yeah, so let me quick introduce myself. Tobias Hoppe-Birken. I joined SAP 28 years ago, worked in different roles, and now I'm leading some engineering teams that work on cloud application lifecycle management in the build area. The topic of today, as said, is deploy, deliver daily based on BTP. And some housekeeping in the front. There's a legal disclaimer because some of the items that are clearly marked will show a roadmap. And yeah, there you will see what we deliver in future. And there, of course, as we can't predict future, there's this disclaimer and future can change. And also, yeah, you're encouraged to share everything and spread the news about the ALM Summit hashtag. And yeah, happy to read it there on the social media channels itself. So if you have questions, of course, you can post them into Zoom itself, but we also have an expert session later, an expert panel where you can ask questions. So let me start with application lifecycle management itself. Cloud ALM is a pure software as a service solution for application lifecycle management. And what you see there are three major parts of it. One is the build area, when you start the implementation of a project from demand, build, test, and deploy the solution. We have the run during the run of the application itself, once you're live with the application in a certain region, for example, to monitor, diagnose, correct, and optimize the behavior of the system. And there's a third part itself, which is the services piece, to engage, deliver automation, but also collaborate with customers themselves. This is all built on cloud application platform itself. And this application is live about a year. And you see already 482 customers are onboarded to the solution. 50,000 clicks have been there already last week, only last week, we have to say. So it's really actively used. And we released 369 features out of it. So it's a pretty rapid growth that we see within the application itself. So what does it mean, or what is in behind? The topic is about deployment of the solution itself. And there have been incredible 84 or plus 84,000 deployments of the solution already, which means there are 330 custom deliveries. And the last deployment just happened 17 minutes ago. So it's really a SaaS solution, as you can see with the numbers over here. So let us quick look into the agenda. First of all, we want to talk about the culture of cloud native development. We will look deeper into SAP Cloud ALM and deploy with confidence itself. And last but not least, cloud application business value through the APIs itself. And we will look into the APIs today and how to use them, what can you do with it, what is the roadmap of the APIs, but we will also see live in the system what you can do with it and how you can develop on top of it. And let me tell you right in the beginning, 2 weeks after we released the first APIs, already the first partners and customers developed solutions on top of it. So that shows that it's really value for the customers with the APIs itself. So what is cloud native architecture itself? On the left-hand side, you see there's a the common customer experience. We have one single integrated suite. It's completely built into SAP products. I would compare with Cloud ALM like the utilities provider with energy and water supply. We connect into all systems from S4, SuccessFactors, Ariba, and so on and so forth. So all SAP products are covered there. It's fairly easy to consume and completely focuses on business value from the build until the run and the services later on. So we have the complete life cycle itself. And it's only one-click customer onboarding. So most customers might not know, but within 15 minutes, you get your tenant and can run on it. But it's also on the right-hand side, you see, it's built on common technologies itself. So it's pure cloud native. It's completely embedded intelligence, but also the innovations itself. The development ops, of course, belongs to it. But you see also, the apps are all divided into microservices itself. So what does microservices mean? It's not just one or two big microservices for each of the application areas that I mentioned, but we are really talking about couple 50 plus microservices that we have in the platform itself. And the platform runs on different hyperscalers. So you see here AWS, Azure, Google, and later on also in shaded gray, Ali Cloud itself. So if we now look one level deeper, and sorry for a very busy slide, but I thought it helps a little bit to see how's the Cloud ALM positioned in overall. So you see, we connect, as I said before, to S4, Ariba, Concur, Fieldglass, and so on. And we also have the built-in support. That means the support landscape to propose solutions for any issue that might occur. But also on the right-hand side, we are connected to all kind of backbones. For example, or the most prominent example is the system landscape of each customer themselves. And we have a pure API first approach. Why API first? You will learn later with the APIs also in the demo itself. And then you have the Cloud ALM itself with the different modules that I mentioned, with build, run services itself, but also the frameworks that we built on top. So cloud native architecture, what does it mean? Or where do we come from? Or what is the difference? So in the traditional software development, at least at SAP, we had a typical technology stack like the ABAP environment. We delivered every 6 months, and you could see roadmaps itself attached to it. We had a testing at the end of the release with manual tests, mostly, not always, also a lot of test automation in, but also a code line strategy, which was more towards releases and hot fixes afterwards. And the typical roles we have been talking about were developer, tester, team managers, or product owners themselves. So how did that change? Let us look a little bit deeper into it. So there has been a transition of the organization from 12 to 18 months. And to where? First of all, we went into Java microservices themselves. And from a 6 month, we looked into a daily, literally daily delivery of the software itself. And testing is only possible with completely automated testing. So testing occurs every 30 minutes and is 100% automated. And automation of the tools is an absolutely key pillar if you want to develop in a cloud native environment. And the code line strategy, coming to the fourth one over here, is not a release and hot fixes after that. It's really a true single trunk. So that means what every customer sees, what we develop, what we deploy is like one single trunk where we develop on. And the most important people are people, of course, even in software development, and not the machines themselves. So what are the roles in behind? And we changed from developers into engineers itself, from testers into quality engineering, from team managers into change managers, because there's a lot of change involved within, and from product owners to feature owners. And features, you should remember that term, because you will see later on in a short demo, how do we develop features themselves? And you will also realize as a customer with the daily deployment that you get with cloud application lifecycle management itself, you will see many micro features themselves. And on the previous slide, I showed already, we had over 300 features delivered to customers in this daily deployment itself. And so we come away from whole big product chunks and releases into small consumable features. And the same holds true for our APIs that we will see later on, where we'll have small increments, and you will see the roadmap on the APIs themselves. And now, what's about the overall implication to us? So if we move the technology stack, we moved at the same point in time into open standards like Cloud Foundry itself, and you will see the tools, but also into a partner ecosystem. And I can only highly encourage you to look into the APIs and take at the end of the session the lessons learned, the links, how to develop on top of it, and learn as much as possible from it, and also deliver value. You will also see a delightful user experience. So that means we have a fully integrated suite with all the SAP products itself, and we can adjust it fairly straightforward to the latest and greatest UIs, designs, and look and feel, I would say. And now if we look into the incidents per year, we can see that if you look into a single microservice itself, there's less than 1 incident per year. So it's not the case that we once deliver the software and then we test quality into it. It's exactly the other way around. We run a full test automation suite, and then we deliver the software, and you see the results in a very, very low incident rate itself because of the high investments up front in test automation. And test automation does not go into feature testing, also into various resilience testings and other strategies itself. And yeah, we have the agility, of course, in the trunk itself, but the biggest thing is the last one. We have less time to market. So if customers come up with ideas and we have a built-in Qualtrics survey into Cloud ALM, and customers can give feedback. So some customers use it already, or it's heavily used. You can go in Cloud Application Lifecycle Management itself. You press a button, you can give feedback. We get it immediately into the SAP landscape. Then we consolidate the feedback, and already in the next cycle that we have, we can add these features into Cloud ALM without the dependency of a release cycle, but we can really go into our daily deployment and have a very low time to market. So if you are productive on Cloud ALM, look into it, give feedback, and we can incorporate it into the product itself. Now, Cloud ALM, so what does it mean? We use a framework that is called Deploy with Confidence, and you will see in a minute in a demo how does it look like if we develop and code in a daily environment itself. And it's also an engineering culture that belongs to it. So culture and tool has to fit together so that the processes that run in behind nicely fit together. And this daily delivery is not possible without a deploy with confidence in behind. So what customers will see is absolutely 100% true zero downtime. So let's walk quick through that picture that you see over here. So you see Cloud ALM customers, and you see the old session, which logged in yesterday around 9 a.m. CET, and certain features are used. You see certain toggles have been on, and the customer is using certain feature sets. So exactly the same customer, even the same user, opens a new session. So this new session will connect to the latest and greatest vector of the day with another feature switched on, and it's completely seamless. There's no downtime, there's nothing in between, and you can switch it on and off, and customers see the latest and greatest. And this means we can bring innovations into Cloud Application Lifecycle Management without any impact for the customer usability or logon or downtimes or anything of that. And this goes on and on and on, even with every deployment, every day, every single day. So there's the yesterday, there's the today, and there's the tomorrow, which is in development, and there already new features are added to it. So let's look a little bit into two tools, and you will see it in a demo in a minute. But there's a tool in behind, we call it Almathea, and there you see features that are in progress right now. And these features come out of a planning that happened before, and then these features can be activated itself. So now this sounds very abstract, I must say, and you might think it's pretty complicated what we talk about, but let's look into it. So what do you see here? Let me go forward a little bit. You can log on. This is the environment that we use with different tenants and so on. So let's log on to one of the tenants itself. It's in this time, it's our Amazon environment. And I pause here for a second. These are all different feature toggles that are in development right now. And these features that are in development right now are already active to a certain extent at customer side. So let's log into the system itself. And you see by the user, it's a recorded session from before. Okay, and what you see here on the upper right-hand side is a small headset icon. And this headset icon is a new feature that is active now. And this is the built-in support. Let me fast forward a little bit. Now we pressed on that feature and you see the built-in support. So a side panel opens, and in Cloud ALM, you can type in anything which might work, might not work, what you're happy with, not happy with. And then all of a sudden, our machine learning algorithms propose solutions. And with these deep learning algorithms, we can improve the user experience and find the best solution for the customer themselves. But let's go back to the feature itself. So this feature is now active. So let's move fast forward. We go now into the system. We just deselect the feature. We log in again, same environment. And in the same environment, we see now the feature will be deactivated. And let's go ahead in. Yeah, we see it here, la voila, it's gone over here. So the headset icon is gone. So this is how we develop features, how we can activate them or even deactivate them afterwards. And that's pretty important. If you go into a daily deployment, that we can have these features and a single trunk. And this is what we do with all 300 plus features that we delivered right now. So we have regular cycles in where we look into how we could do it in a best manner. So what did we see? Let's have a quick recap for a second. We have a single trunk approach. That means the same feature can be activated or deactivated in the exact same environment. So it was not a different environment. It's not that you saw a test or productive environment. This was within the same environment. We can have an agile innovation in it. We could even show customers already upfront certain features, and we have a very responsive support and maintenance there. So you see below here, certain features over the timeline itself are now developed, might be activated or deactivated, and we can decide feature by feature what should be activated when. And then you see the automation. These are screenshots out of our test environment. And it was a tough job to get a red one over here. So usually all of that is going green. And if it's going green, then we see we have the test automation, the deployment, the daily delivery can start. And then you see here a Slack channel where it's posted into it. So that means whatever you see is truly a single trunk, features tested every 30 minutes. Such a test automation runs over the system. So how do we deliver our SaaS applications at scale? So the organization in behind is not a small team, like 10 or 20 people, but we are talking about 200 plus developers developing cloud application lifecycle management. And even the numbers of engineers is growing right now. And in addition, we have 50 plus developers and more developing machine learning content like the ones that go into a data lake, pump it into a built-in support landscape, and then we completely integrate it into it. And you've seen in the beginning before that Cloud ALM is not a standalone solution, but is a solution that is highly integrated, especially the run part, into the different SAP applications. So how do we manage this complexity in software development themselves? So first of all, it's all about culture itself. The culture has to change towards a daily deployment and a product that supports it. The second most important thing is the tools that have to come together. Without full automation in all processes, it's impossible. It's simply impossible to run it. And if the culture is there and the tools, then the processes will follow and bring the customers, users, and the engineers together like this picture shows over here. And all this is supported with what we call deploy with confidence. This is the umbrella as a proven combination of this culture and the tool and the processes in behind. So if we look into deploy with confidence, one level deeper into the culture itself, we have the classical development lifecycle that you see over here. So we come from requirements into planning, from the plan into code, from code we build the software, from build we test it, we deploy it, and we have release and progressive feature activation itself. And then of course we have to operate it, observe it, and automate it, as we all know. But it's more about the behavior. So you see the code line, there's only one single code line. This is a massive cost reduction, but also a simplification itself. So we don't have 50, 60, 80 thousands of code lines, and every customer has a different one, but we have one single code line itself. We deliver daily, as said, and we have these toggles, attributes, as you have seen in the demo itself. So now there are some key metrics from DORA, and DORA is mostly supported by Google as a sponsor, but also used, as you can see in the small image below, by customers like Tricentis, our value partners there, Microsoft, and many other ones. And if we look into how can you be an allied member in that group, there are certain criteria in behind. So you see it could be low, medium, high, or allied. And Cloud Application Lifecycle Management clearly is an allied member if you look into it. But how to become it, or what are the criteria in behind? And you can see the aspects that we have in the software delivery itself. First of all, development frequency has to be daily, multiple deployments per day, or at least daily. The lead time for changes, how long does it take to put a change into the productive environment, is less than a day. It truly is. But also the time to restore a service. So let's say there's a feature, and you've just seen it in that demo, that should not be activated, or maybe did not meet customer expectations, or there's other feedback about it that you provided. Then we can look into it and restore the previous service itself. And then it's also the failure rate in change, and also that has to be very low. So we are proud to be part, like an allied member of the DORA criteria that have been defined. And it truly is. And so this comes all back, and now you see the same software life cycle again, which is a very natural one, which goes back into a feedback loop itself. So it really goes from defining feature, a user story, then into development itself, the single trunk, merge as often as possible, build fast these components in small chunks and for small microservice, have it fully automated, deploy it, release it, have a zero downtime as said before and showed, and now operate it and measure the success out of it. And all this feedback loop goes into it, and that comes together into a complete DevOps process that runs every single day. It's like the whole process in a day. Now, what tools do we use? So there is not the perfect way into it, but there are many options. So how do we do it right now? We look into Jira for the planning itself and GitHub. We look for coding into the CAP programming model, Spring Boot, but also into Node.js, as you know. And Then we look into, for the build parts, into Jenkins and PyPass. For test, we look into Azure DevOps, SourceLab, and SourceLab, brilliant tool behind it, I must say, WebDriver IO, Nightwatch, but also Cloud Foundry, Docker for the deployment itself, MTA, and the release itself, we use the Slack bot, but also MS Teams, our HANA itself, and we use Sentry, but also Dynatrace for the operations afterwards. And it's all built on an umbrella of Cloud Foundry, and parts of it, for example, like the built-in support on Kubernetes itself. And the key takeaways: deploy with confidence is a proven combination for culture, processes, and tools. And Cloud ALM is running, or application lifecycle management is running live on deploy with confidence, 200 plus engineers, plus all the surrounding ones themselves. So now, setting the stage for APIs themselves. Why are APIs important? So in the past, APIs have been developed to encapsulate business functionality. Today, we transform it into the best usage for external users, partners, and customers. And I will come to it in a second. And this is a critical component of our digital transformation. And we will come to it in a second itself. And then these APIs are designed in a way that you can extend the solution and bring innovation on top of it. And as said in the beginning, only 2 weeks after we released our APIs, partners built already solutions on top of it. And that shows that there's a business value in it. And it proves that there's a built-in integration already for many other applications themselves. So how do we add value itself? First of all, we expose the API on the upper right-hand corner. You can see it, and expose them within Cloud ALM. We have a full integration content. I will show it in the system in a minute from now. We have events you can subscribe upon, and we run the full business processes into it so that you can see it over there. So let's quick look, and now I come back to the roadmap itself. This is the labs preview, and the future can change. Nevertheless, what the APIs that have been released right now are in the analytics, task, project, test automation itself, for example, for a Tricentis integration, but also for STAR, which is a S4 test automation tool. But we go further into requirements, alerts, situations, and we extend also in Q4 already by far the existing APIs and continue into next year round. And then we can connect into it. And let us go a little bit on the lower hand side. These APIs, for example, the analytics API can be used for things like Grafana, Jira integration, Jenkins, even ServiceNow, Tricentis, MS Teams, a Kanban dashboard that I will use as an example for you in a minute from now. So there's a pretty extensive roadmap behind it. So a clear call to action, but before we make a call to action, let's be fair and look a little bit into the system itself. Let me open up our system environment itself, and you can explore, and I just do it over here. You can explore the different solutions themselves or even search for it. Let's look for ALM. And you see the different ALM APIs. I can look into it, and you see, for example, the analytics API, projects, tasks, test automation, which I just mentioned. If we look into projects itself, you can immediately try it out. And this is nothing that I've specially prepared for it. So if I run against the demo environment itself, I see the result of a project API. So a project is pretty straightforward, you might say. So what do I do with the project? Let's go into the tasks themselves. And it's all at API-SAP.com, nothing made up for this one. So you can go into it. Let me go into the small environment. No, I think I have it over here. And I've just run it against it with all the tasks that you see here. So you see approve requirements generated by implementation and so on. So this looks a little bit cryptical. So what do I do now with these APIs? Let me show you an example application itself. And you can see it over here. This is a Kanban board. And this Kanban board is exactly reading out the result that you've seen before. So you see all open tasks, you see the tasks in progress, and the done ones. And now I can go and I just drag and drop it back and forth. This one is open again. Another one might be done. And you can really play around with this dashboard itself. You have a drop-down box here for all the different systems in behind. So this is a small application. So how do you come from it? How complicated is it? There's a public GitHub in behind. And if you look into the API examples, let me go one step back real quick. You see different sample applications. We have a Jupyter notebook, and we have a Postman collection. And with this Postman collection, you can really get insights into it. Let's click on sample applications itself. One sample application is the Kanban board itself. So how complicated is it to develop it? I know this picture is rather small, but in a minute, there's Cloud ALM, an authentication provider. There's a small Node.js application that mainly runs in the browser itself, and the Kanban server that you've seen. So the user accesses it, get authentication, make the API call, going back to the API itself over here. First is a drop-down box with the projects, then query all tasks against it. And you see the code snippets in behind. It's not too much. That's it. Now you might say, pretty trivial application. Can we do more, or is there more in behind? Yes, there is. If we go into another example itself, there's a full Jupyter notebook. Let me click on it. And now you see here the IPYNB file that you can download. And here you find everything. A Python script in behind, which API to call, how to do it, authentication information, all the different GET requests, examples of the JSON that has been parsed out of it, how to get the project names, select the project. So it's a complete environment itself. And you get that for every API so that it's as simple as possible to use it itself. And if we now look one back, so going back to the call to action itself, we do have a public GitHub repository. Log into it, get the APIs itself, leverage the APIs, look into the best practices, learn the basics about it. And in the slides itself, you find them in the agenda itself. You find the link to the GitHub repository, the Kanban dashboard itself, just as the Kanban board. And you find the different guidelines we used for it. Open SAP in behind, learning journeys for cloud implementation, which is the Kanban build part, or the operations. And with all of that, you should be absolutely straightforward, ready to go. And as said before, we have customers who integrated it already into Microsoft Teams, for example, or build similar dashboards in other environments. And with the growing roadmaps itself, we are very happy to take your feedback. How good are the APIs? Do you need more? But you can also use it in the same environment, and we can change it daily, adapt it daily, as said before. Yeah, having said that, I know it was a lot of content, and it's not easy to follow so many things, but we are very open to take questions, either right now, or we have the Meet the Expert sessions itself. But the biggest call to action now is look into the APIs, look into what we did, how did we do it, give us feedback through the channels, for example, built into Cloud Application Lifecycle Management with the feedback survey itself. Also about APIs, whatever you think is very important for you, we will collect the feedback. Important is we don't have long cycles, so we can really, in short cycles, connect into it and change whatever is required for you to drive value and for you to be successful into it. Having said that, Yeah, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who helped preparing it. And in addition, are there any questions in the chat, live, wherever?
Tobias, thank you for the presentation. At the moment, there are no questions yet available. So I would be happy if you put your questions through the Q&A tool. Or you can also raise your hand. That's also not a problem. Then we can also unmute your line.
So for now, it looks like it's really straightforward. So I'm looking forward into many partners using these APIs.
You should take the time to squeeze Tobias for questions. So as he is still ready to answer, maybe let's give it in some further seconds. It seems not be the case. So then I would invite you for the Meet the Expert session at 2 o'clock. So probably around an hour, so more than 1 hour. So for questions which may come up later, I think then we can close the call for right now and